asking me about Patrick Beverly, who I sent him home before.
He got the shot off. Lillard, good!
Paul George just got sent home by me last year in the playoffs.
Long-range three, and it's good!
Do you believe that players actually get in the zone?
I do. Don't mess with Dame Dollar. He's not the one.
It's Dame time.
Oh, snap. That's Pascal Siakam. He's getting ready for the Raptors game against the 76ers. We are leading you into that at 6:30 p.m. Joel Embiid back for the Sixers, which is a really good thing as they're coming off of a loss against the Suns. They'll hope to bounce back. Welcome into Hoop Streams. We are live on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and the ESPN app.
Everywhere.
I'm Christine Williamson. Treavor Scales is extremely happy right now. Not sure why he's
Trying to pick the energy up. All right,
sure.
Christine.
Well, he did say he needed coffee
Tempo.
because I guess he's tired. Did you yawn? Is that what led him to your coffee thing?
Late nights with Snapchat, it happens. So
Yeah.
we just trying to. My brain isn't used to working before like 7 p.m. So you got me in here early. It's
I
just
apologize.
weird.
Shameless plug. Everybody watch Trevor on
Yes.
Snapchat. What days do you
that.
do Snapchat? Don't watch the days with Gary. Just watch the days with Trevor.
Just watch every day. I don't mind giving Gary a little love. Okay, like I'm taking his spot right now, so we just go share the wealth.
That's true.
Every day on Snapchat.
Okay, every single day. We got Omar in Orlando.
What's going on?
What's up? And you're
How are
inside
ya?
now. What's going on with that?
Man, you know what? The bomber jackets and the sweating, and I was trying to be an adult and act like it wasn't bothering me at all, but it was definitely bothering me. I was sweating during every show, so I said, I'm going to stay indoors this time.
Well, I will say that are you in your hotel room?
I am in my hotel
There's
room.
like some nice decor going on
There
behind
is.
you. That's a really nice hotel situation.
Also,
I've never been in a hotel this nice in my life.
Also, to go back, being an adult is overrated. So, like, I get it. It's just overrated. So, we get it.
Completely.
We're not
Completely.
adults over here. I'm a kid.
Well, my room service
but one
is
thing
chicken tenders and fries.
One thing I will say about the bubble, because that's where you are in Orlando, nobody thought it would work, right? Everybody was saying, oh my goodness, they're going to be done with the bubble in like 5 days. But guess what? We have 15 games left, including today's games, until the playoffs. Before we give away some bubble awards, which is something that we're going to do very soon, I'm very excited. I think that's why Trevor was so excited.
Yes.
Omar, you've been hot on the Blazers since the jump, since we started this show again.
Yes.
So let's talk about Dame last night. What do you got to say about that?
Man, it was one of those games where I actually wish there was a crowd, because that moment when that three hit the rim, flew in the air, I even said, oh, damn, that would have been cool if he made it. And then it went back down and he made it. I was looking around to my left and right, trying to see, like, is anyone celebrating low-key? Because I know you're not supposed to celebrate when you're in the media section, but that was the moment where you want to celebrate. But listen, Dame has been unreal, especially with CJ having that back injury. And Melo is also another one. He's averaged, I believe, 25 a game for the last 3 games. Been super clutch. But Dame Lillard right now is doing stuff right now where you're just kind of in shock.
Yeah. Trev, you are a former athlete. I'll say current athlete, because you still work out on the regular. I'm not even going to, I'll be seeing you on Instagram.
Let's not go there.
So how much of the trash talk, I mean, we just saw what happened with Pat Bev, and we saw what happened on social media with PG.
All that stuff.
So how much of that trash talk do you think went into Dame dropping 61?
Well, it had everything to do with it, right? Like, he's the type of cat that will say something doesn't bother him, but he uses it bothering him to go out and put on performances like that. Like, Dame is gifted in every way, but when you turn him up a little bit, that's only going to cause issues for whomever happens to run into that buzzsaw of a player in the next matchup. And so that's exactly what wound up happening last night. Dame goes in there, has a career night, tying a career high, and it was just one of those moments where you knew he was going to be on one the moment he started coming off of pick and rolls and just pulling from everywhere he wanted to.
So the Grizzlies had a chance to lock down that 8 seed. It's not happening for them right now anymore. Here are the scenarios really quick. The Blazers are number 8, Grizzlies number 9, Suns are number 10. Both the Grizzlies and the Suns are 33 and 39. So here are the scenarios when it comes to how this play-in situation will go. It's kind of complicated. All right, Portland If they clinch, or they will clinch with a win or with losses by any two, either Memphis or Phoenix. Memphis clinches with a win or with losses by Phoenix and San Antonio. Phoenix clinches with a win and a loss by either Memphis or Portland. And San Antonio clinches with a win and losses by any two of Memphis, Portland, and Phoenix. It's very complicated, a lot going on, but a lot has been happening in the bubble. We're going to take a look really quick at all of the best things we've seen out of the bubble.
Welcome everyone to Lake Buena Vista, Florida. From the arena on the campus here of Disney's Wide World of Sports. What you see are the images of players, coaches displaying a move towards racial equality.
This will go down as the greatest assist in the history of sports, making a stance, putting others in position to score.
Time to let's get it restarted, my friend.
Zion Williamson, an explosion, strong finish on a special delivery. Antetokounmpo and the finish.
Freak all the way to the cup.
With a tomahawk jam. Beautiful play by Anthony Davis.
Oh, here Boucher flushes it against 2 Bucks.
Boucher with the grown man move.
Warren, here's a long 3.
Oh, yeah!
Set for 53!
Oh, yeah! DJ Warren.
And these are fans watching the game live right now.
Oh, got the crown on, the whole deal.
Siakam, acrobatic finish, spicy P&1.
How about that finger roll, George Gervin-esque?
You miss it on purpose. Got the miss and the tip. They tie the game at 139.
Fultz got it from 3-quarter court. Markelle Fultz, and it counts.
As Paul George off to a red-hot start. And hit 9 3-pointers here in the first quarter. And 3-point avalanche continues for the Clippers.
They have to be approaching a first-half record.
16 3-pointers. LeBron just spikes that on the glass. Doncic stops on the baseline. Great feed and a better block by Covington. He put Porzingis in the friend zone.
Booker, my goodness, from the logo, and he still knocks it down. Shot clock under pressure. Devin Booker from 30 feet.
Whip ahead. Oh, Zion! Razzle dazzle to Lonzo Ball. What a connection.
At his size, making that pass on the move, looking like a point guard.
Well, Porzingis, happy birthday.
Light that candle.
And now slipping to the basket is Saric, but the story's the pass, right, from Rubio. His game and style is swashbuckling.
Nice feed ahead. Oh, what a pass. Wow. In stride, perfect bounce pass, threading the needle.
Bol squared with the beautiful pass.
LeBron James.
Yeah. 17th season. And look at this.
Lillard draws a foul and pucks it in. Damian Lillard from downtown, and a chance for a 4-point play.
Memphis answers again. Gets the dunk. That's a phenomenal pass there from Morant.
Here comes Waiters around traffic to spin the drive and the deuce. Pretty play by Waiters. Here's George. He's gone 5 of 9. That shot good. It's a 3, and it ties the game at 101. 4-second difference. LeBron on the fly. Goes a miss and puts it up and in. LeBron James gives the Lakers the lead.
Suns have it. 6 to play. Booker, this is for the win. Got it. Wow.
What a shot by Devin Booker.
5 to shoot. A minute and a half to play. That's a bomb. Oh, ridiculous. Damian Lillard. A bounce from above behind Damian Lillard, 61 points. It is Dame time.
I've been saying it. Well, I don't know if it's because we hadn't seen sports in like ever. Or if it's just because basketball is really good right now. But I've been saying it since basketball started. Bubble basketball just hits completely different.
Yeah, ¿por qué no los dos, right? Like, why can't it be both? I think it's a matter of us really being excited for the fact that we finally get a little bit of live action. But these jokers have been balling, and some surprises have come about when we've had these seeding games. So, like, that's just been a pleasure to see, too.
Amazing. And for that reason, we're doing something. We're giving away some awards, and we're calling them cleverly the Bubblies.
Like it.
Okay, so the NBA announced yesterday that they'd be naming a bubble MVP and an all bubble first and second team. Okay, so for that reason, of course, we feel like we need to do something similar,
yes.
Right? So Chris Colon actually came up with the Bubblies name, so I just wanted to give you a shout out because that's pretty solid. So we asked both you and Omar to give our all bubble team. I'm going to go to you, Omar, since we haven't heard you in a minute. So let's start with the all bubble team.
I've got Damian Lillard at point guard. I've got Devin Booker at 2 guard. I've got Carmelo Anthony at small forward. Or do you want me to just talk about Dame? Because he's a monster. I can talk about Dame.
And you want to do that anyways.
Yeah. Well, I've been the one that has been warning everybody about the Blazers since the jump. And I've been calling it for weeks, so I'm going to take complete credit for that. But listen, I remember, I was very lucky. I had to sit down with Dame after his Paul George game winner last year and go through some of his best moments. And you can tell he's super motivated and always he knows what everyone's saying about him in the media. He might not always acknowledge it, but he knows that people like to criticize him for being a loyal player, which is funny because when Kevin Durant left the Thunder, we criticized him for being not a loyal player. So he's had to deal with being criticized for being loyal, and I think he wants to be the first guy that actually pulls it off in Portland. So I think what he's been doing has been remarkable. I mean, 60 yesterday was ridiculous. The clutch plays, the threes, it's all been incredible.
All right, so that's Dame. You said Melo also. Who else is on your all-bubble team?
I have Devin Booker.
D-Book, okay.
TJ Warren.
Of course.
And then I also have one that I don't think most people are going to expect, but DeAndre Ayton as well.
Okay, why that?
Because I think he's one of the I think he's also one of the players that has been silently played very well. And I wanted to give him a shine because I'm guilty of this sometimes as well, of gravitating towards players that are amazing. They have amazing highlights. They're super flashy. But he's been averaging 20 a game on 60% shooting. The Suns have been playing really well. They're 7-0, guys. They're 7-0. So I really hope they actually make the playoffs. Because I think you would have a legit chance of making an all-NBA bubble team.
So you hope that they make the playoffs, but you're hot on the Blazers. That can't happen. You know that, right? That those things both can't happen.
Well, I hope they get to an elimination game. How's that?
Okay, that's fair.
So here's
Trev,
my
play-in versus play-in. That's all.
Yeah, it's a play-in game.
Nothing wrong with one
It
thing
kind of
there.
feels like that MLB wildcard game, the game on Saturday,
For sure.
where you guys can compete. So in a weird way, it will feel like, to me at least, the Suns kind of made the playoffs.
I am mad at it. I am not mad at
Trev,
it.
what you got?
I don't differentiate between me and Omar much at all. So I do have Dame. I do have D-Book. I actually also have TJ Warren as well. But I went with AD because I think he is the sole reason that we're still tuning into the Lakers at this point. He has essentially been one of the few bright spots because LeBron just hadn't found his rhythm.
Yeah.
He admits that himself. But AD has been consistently good, right? Mm-hmm. Being able to compete on both ends of the floor for that team. And then I also had Luka, and this fifth slot for me was a little bit of a toss-up because Luka and the Mavs have been competitive in a lot of different matchups. They got doors by the Clippers, which is understandable, but Luka has produced quite a few highlights himself, and he's consistently good, continues to just do triple-double after triple-double. I like his game. So you're not going to go wrong with either one of these lists, but Luka just kind of tilted the favor for me. I did go with the highlights sort of aspect in this.
Of course, of course. Next up, we've got the best team in the bubble. And now, honestly, there's really no debate when it comes to this. There's only one team in the bubble right now that's 7-0. Trevor, I mean, we've already heard that Omar's pretty hot on them. Trev, how you feeling about that?
I don't hate it. Like, I think it's a totally fair assessment of how things are going on. I just want to bring up the fact that Toronto ain't doing bad either, right? Like, 5-1 at this point. They are a team that, starting in January, had the best record in all of the NBA, right? Like, this team has been hooping too, and I think they may have a little bit more cachet when it comes to the postseason when it gets popping than Phoenix does. Phoenix has been a great story. They are America's team at this point. But I think what comes afterwards, when we get into this postseason, Toronto will be the one that makes a little more noise.
Everybody wants to see Phoenix win right now. I'm a bandwagon fan. I don't have an NBA fan, or NBA team. Well, I did claim the Heat at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, you said you were a Heat fan.
When Phoenix beat the Heat in the bubble, I was like, all right, I'm a fan. I'm a Suns fan.
That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works.
Look,
you can't just jump.
Listen, I can just admit that I'm a bandwagon fan and be okay with that.
Owning it is, you know what, you're right. And then look, when they had those pregame introductions where they had the family and friends, it's hard for me to pick against them too.
It's heartfelt.
I want to say I'm with you on that.
You cried when that happened.
I'm with you.
Exactly. All right, next award, Bubble MVP. And we actually have nominees for this one.
Okay.
All right, so just so you guys know, Giannis and Luka are not just, this is just mostly so that you don't come for people in the comments on Twitter. Giannis and Luka are not in this because both of their teams have losing records. That's fair, right? If you're going to be most valuable, you have to be most valuable on a team that's actually playing well. So the first nominee, James Harden. Here's why. He was the scoring champ before the shutdown at 34.4 points a game, and after the restart, 33.4 a game. Second behind Damian Lillard after his 61 points last night. Next up, I mean, we got to have him in here, Bubble Booker. He's currently averaging 31 points a game on 50% shooting and has led his Suns to, we talked about this, a perfect 7-0 record so far. That's up 5 points a game from his pre-break average. Next up, I mean, everybody's been talking about this guy too, TJ Warren. Before the shutdown, I like that.
MJ Warren.
TJ was 51st in the league in scoring at 18.7 a game. In the bubble, he's just the fourth leading scorer at 31 a game and had a career high 53 points in the Pacers' first game back, which made everybody just be like, wait, what's going on here? And finally, Omar's guy, Dame Dalla, he dropped a 45-piece, a 51-point game, and a 61-point game last night while pushing his Blazers to a 5-2 record and into the mix for the play-in games. Currently, he's number one in the NBA bubble and scoring at 37 points a game. Since we ended on Damian Lillard, we got to start this question with Omar because that's your guy. Out of those guys, who do you got for MVP?
So it's very easy to eliminate the other people. James Harden, the team's not winning that many games. They haven't been that impressive. They haven't stuck out in any crazy way. So he gets eliminated for me right off the bat. TJ Warren, I'm a biased Miami Heat fan. So Jimmy Butler had to lock him up. And you know what? He got exposed. So that takes Devin Booker out of the picture. Now there's two guys. And I'm usually very, very passionate about the Trailblazers. But I can understand why you'd pick Devin Booker because they're 7-0. But if I had to pick a player that's most valuable, I would go with Damian Lillard because I can't imagine that the Blazers would win that many games without his 37 a game. And I think even when you watched the game yesterday, you could tell that CJ McCollum was struggling. And at a certain point, Dame just said, I've got this. I've got to carry this team. He really is one of the few players right now that has that Mamba mentality. We say it a lot. But he really kind of carries himself the same way like Kobe and just said, I'm going to do this myself. So for me, because I can't imagine the Trailblazers being that great without him, I think he's my MVP.
It makes sense. Dame time. Trev, what do you got?
I cannot dispute anything that Omar said in that sort of lead it into this award being given out. I just side with Devin Booker just because of how much he has to do with the Phoenix Suns being even as close as they are to the postseason at this point. Phoenix is on the longest win streak that they've had as a franchise since like 2014. So when we talk about what he contributes to the franchise as a whole, this dude is sort of creating a momentum behind it, a conversation behind them, rather, that we haven't had in quite some time, and for a good reason. So I got to go with Devin Booker on that one.
Makes sense. I mean, me too. I would totally go with D-Book because the Suns are my team.
Wearing the orange today and everything.
Exactly.
Like,
That's why I'm wearing this orange and representing the WNBA, of course. All right, so we have some fun awards to get to. First up, the Achievement in Creative Hydration Award. I mean, these are very specific. These can only be certain things. I don't know if you guys remember this, but Myers Leonard and JJ Redick, they I don't know how I can say this. They shotgun beers. I mean, I'm like, how do you say that other than they were shotgunning beers? And it was amazing. The main reason we wanted to include this award is just because we wanted to watch this because it's so incredibly impressive.
Yeah, Myers is an absolute tank. I just want to note that. JJ doing it in the kiddie pool, also hilariously incredible. I do want to question, though, how creative is shotgunning a beer? Okay, that part was actually creative.
Wow.
that one was creative.
Yeah.
I'm going to shut up.
Yeah.
I'll lay out on that one.
I feel like Omar would totally be able to do that, no?
No, I want to say there can't be two winners here. You have to go all in on Myers Leonard because I like JJ Redick. He's a great player. But the way he was shotgunning a beer was not that cool. It kind of looked lame. And Myers Leonard was the one that did multiple videos, and he did a way better job at being creative.
JJ was definitely forced into having to shotgun that beer. That was not under his own fruition. Like what?
It's basic. It's basic. It's basic. All right, so the next award, and it's very self-explanatory. The We Want to Talk About Bol Bol Award.
Gotta get him in the show.
I mean, of course.
Have to.
I mean, he's great. What's not to love, really? I mean, we've seen him. Everybody was excited to watch him play, waiting for the moment that he would play, and we got to see him, so it was great.
The dude is, I am just always astounded by how just lanky he is. Like, there's not a whole lot of meat on the bone. Coming from a dude that has quite a bit, I just wonder how that works physically. I am so impressed with just his skill set, though, and the dude just makes highlights after highlights.
I mean, it's crazy because when you're that high, I feel like because when you watch his passes, they're just absolutely incredibly accurate. And I'm wondering, like, if it's just because of his angle of when he passes, like he can just see everything. He can see the open places on the court. Omar, you're there. Have you gone to see any of him playing in live in the bubble?
Yeah, and I gotta say, one thing on social that I noticed right away was with the scrimmages, people would go crazy over this guy. You just look at Twitter or Instagram, everyone wanted to see Bol Bol, and it's kind of been that way since high school. But when you're actually at the games and you're watching defenders try to go to the rim, then they see Bol Bol, they do like a U-turn right away, and they're trying to figure out how to get past this guy. Because even if you get past him, he's so long he can block that shot. So there was one block in particular during their first game that stuck out a lot, and he's been very impressive. I think I get more impressive by the passing. The full court pass against the Heat, that was ridiculous.
I promise. It's the angle that he's at, because if you're that high, I don't know. I don't know anything about physics or anything like that, but I just feel like when you're really tall, you have a better trajectory to throw the ball over every single other person than anybody else. So.
He is one of two really good passing big men on that Denver roster, too, so he got a little help with Nikola Jokic coaching him up, right?
Exactly.
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not? A slight plug for Nikola. Okay, so the next award. Busted Bubble Award, and this is actually, I mean, I don't know if I would want to receive this award if I was.
Is it an award?
It's an award. You get it. The Memphis Grizzlies, honestly, poor guys. We talked about this at the beginning, the fact that they were in the 8th seed, and of course, Ja Morant was very mad about the play-in situation, but guess what? They're not even necessarily in that situation anymore. They're number 9, and so they just kind of messed everything up for themselves. What do you think, Trev?
I think they didn't really get a favorable schedule. They had some hitters that they had to play throughout this entire, like they were known to have one of the tougher schedules because New Orleans was believed to have an easier schedule walking into the seeding game. So I get it, but only one win that's a little tough for me to even rationalize.
You can't really rationalize it. I mean, they should have won more games and tried to at least hold down that 8th seed so that they could get in a better situation for the play-in game. Omar, what do you think?
Same thing. I was agreeing with Trevor because I remember Ja Morant tweeted about the schedule, and the schedule is rough when you look at it, But to be fair, there also aren't any bad teams. Like everyone, I kind of realized when going to games, like most games are pretty good because every team is good. But you can't just win one game. You just can't win one. You need a win. Like even if they won 2, they'd be in a much better position. So you can't complain if you only won 1.
How do you guys feel? Because I know we gave the award to Memphis. But like low key, the Pelicans are busted their bubble a little bit too. They had the easiest schedule.
That's what I was kind of like leaning to. I was like, if we handed them an easier schedule, I would get it. But like they just blew the opportunity in New Orleans. You got Zion. We were all excited to see him. 1 versus 8. Pelicans versus Lakers. Like we were hyped for that. And that bursted our bubble because they couldn't get right.
I know. Initially, I think the conversation that we had on this show was we're going to see the Pelicans and who? Because they had the easiest schedule. Like this should be very simple for them to win out. No, like that should be the easiest thing. Omar, you've been hot on the Blazers, but you still were like, I mean, when Zion finally plays minutes, more than 15 minutes, then maybe the Pelicans can do something.
I also have like an interesting fact because like when we go to games, we have to pick. There's 7-8 games. You have to pick 3 to go to get a yes to go to the game. So you can't just go to any game that you want to go to. So early, everyone was like picking the 2 teams, the Pelicans and the Trailblazers, and you kind of went to those games and you saw the media section was full. But for Suns games, it was completely empty because no one was expecting the Suns to make it. So it's been interesting to see that complete shift because now the Pelicans games are empty and now everyone's going to Suns games. So the Pelicans, they've been in a tricky situation. I think a lot of it has to do with Zion. But even outside of that, they just have not played well.
Yeah. Outside of Brandon Ingram, we really haven't really seen anybody ball out for them and really step up.
Yeah, you hoped that Lonzo would have figured out a little bit more. And that is a young team that will take some time to kind of get things together. And when you take Zion out of the bubble, he has to reset his conditioning. That is a whole different battle, too. So that's somewhat understandable as well.
Raptors versus Sixers, right? Raptors are number 2 in the East, okay? They could possibly play the Bucks in a conference finals. Who do you give the edge to in that situation?
I'm going to go with Milwaukee. They have the best player on the floor in Giannis, right? And when we've seen him kind of get going in the postseason, I know he hit that stumbling block against the Raptors last season, but that was with the Kawhi-led Raptors. This year, he is doing this himself. He is trying to do everything he can. Milwaukee is doing everything they can to keep Giannis there. I think that they sort of get that edge this go-round.
So, Omar, they're obviously playing the Sixers, like I said. Omar, you're there. The Sixers are kind of falling apart. They lost Ben Simmons. Joel Embiid wasn't in for the last game. He's back tonight, but, how are you feeling about the Sixers right now?
Awful. I don't feel good about them at all. I feel better about what's crazy is when Jimmy Butler left to Miami. I hate to make it always about Miami, but I'm a little biased. But I remember when Jimmy went to Miami, everyone was like, this team's an 8th seed at best, speaking of Miami. And now the Heat are going to advance probably past the 76ers when it comes to the playoffs, which is an interesting thing to think about because it's not like, you lose Ben Simmons and that's it. That team has Al Horford, Tobias Harris, Joel Embiid, and it seems like even throughout the entire year, they never figured it out. So I wonder if we can really expect a big coaching change last year because I think we were close to one last year, but the Kawhi shot was such a detrimental shot. They were so close that I don't think they ended up pulling the trigger. So I think this year we might have to see a coaching change in Philly.
It's interesting that you bring that up because I think they're still dealing with personnel issues in that, you lose Ben Simmons for the remainder of the season. And how do you really appropriately assess who the free agent you move into the future with is? Like, it's almost this skewed assessment already because of the Rona. But now you don't have but one half of the equation. So how do you then decide how to move forward?
Very interesting scenario. Also, you brought up the point that you thought that the Raptors were the best team in the bubble. They actually have the best record since January 1st in the entire NBA. So that's January. I know it seems like it was 8 years ago, but that was when the regular season was still being played. So that's actually very impressive. I mean,
getting some contributions from Fred VanVleet and Pascal Siakam, who is coming to a superstar right of his own, it's extremely impressive. That Eastern Conference team is going to be able to roll.
Really quickly, 76ers, Raptors. Trev, who do you got?
Give me Toronto.
All day. Omar?
Raptors big.
All right, we'll see what happens. Joel Embiid back for the Sixers and the Raptors going head-to-head in about 10 seconds right after this. If you're watching on the ESPN app, sign into your television provider, and we will see you. I think the next show is like in the playoffs, so we'll see you then.
Yes.
Postseason action.
Yes.
Bye, guys.